Well, good morning. Excuse me, Benton Harbor. Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Monday, September 26th. Turn my radio down. And you are on with live with chat with the chief here with me, Director Dan McGinnis, Benton Harbor Department of Public Safety. Good morning to those that are with us, and I guess those that watch us, excuse me, down the way. I'm starting to get stopped now from people in the store having seen chat with the chief. So that's funny. Excuse me. Um, Today is starting out with difficulties. My guest that's supposed to come on for some reason is not on. He said he's hitting the link, but the link's not bringing him here. Excuse me. So that was our delay in coming on. Quite honestly, this morning, Benton Harbor, this might not be a long show. I don't have anything planned outside of talking to my guest that I had planned today. So maybe give a little update freestyle, and then we might call it quits. Because today, normally Chief can get some time and kind of fill it and kind of talk and give narratives. Today, I've been battling a cold all weekend, so my wind's down a little bit, and my mind is not clicking as sharp as it normally would be. So probably won't keep you for the full hour if we don't connect with our guests. But I did want to come on the show and say hi to everyone that's out there. I think we've had some really good shows here recently. Matter of fact, I want to recap on the previous two. First, let me start with I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago we had on Dylan Barnes, Benton Harbor Rocket football, and the partnership that we pledged to work together. The department, as well as some churches, actually have come on board and also want to help that effort. A couple of churches, of course, my good friend Apostle Palmer from Bethel CRC, McAfee, always. So that was good to get that feedback. I was stopped and they talked about that show with Dylan Barnes, and they love what he was doing with the Rocket football program. I'm sorry, Jumpstart, because he also has basketball. So that's been terrific. I think people have reached out to him also to offer help. So that's community. That's what we're talking about here in Benton Harbor, reestablishing community. So that's great. So Rocket football, things are going real well. I had the opportunity, if you recall, what I said I was going to do was get back involved the way that I know where the Lord's blessed me to be able to affect kids is through coaching. Coach track, coach football, basketball, through the years, speed and agility. I'm actually semi-speed and agility expert. I do real well. It's kind of like my pond. I love those type of things, like seeing kids get better. So, knowing what we're trying to accomplish in the city, get violence down, build relationships. I think we do it through kids and family at events, and then we learn to support families. And for me, the best way for me is, I'm not a fundraiser. I'm not a guy that's going to do your 501c3 paperwork, but I can coach some kids and build relationships that way. So this past weekend, I was honored to be able to do a flag football game with these little peewee guys out there running around with flags on their hips. It was absolutely wonderful. I swear, gonna have the cold. It was a little chilly, kind of over prepared because I put on full body long johns and I was burning up. But I hadn't been on a football field. I used to be a football official for probably about 15, 17 years. I used to have a crew. Then I got out of officiating to go back to coaching football. So I haven't officiated a football game in probably 12 years. So that was fun. But it was absolutely amazing seeing the little young kids, little Benton Harbor kids running around, just running, catching, just playing the game of football. Actually, I was very pleased. There was great parent support there from our side. Well, I was a referee, but yeah, our side, Benton Harbor. So that was great. I love to see what Dylan Barnes has done with the program, and I'm excited more to see moving forward what he'll do with his program to expand it, especially as we support our community, support our children, which ultimately again supports families. So that was tremendous. I got a picture, but this platform doesn't really share screens too well. I have a picture that I took with the kids. It was absolutely wonderful. So again, support Jumpstart, Rocket Football, ultimately basketball. One of the Benton Harbor Department of Public Safety partners, and again, it was a great effort. And then remember last week we had on, I think most people know him as CC. I think I even called him that. But Curtis McFall, James Gunter, they work at the Boys and Girls Club. And they had a teen summit on violence. And that went, for those who weren't able to make it, that went extremely, extremely, extremely well. There's probably, I think CC said the place only fit about 75, but we probably had in there about 175. It was packed again. I wish I can show you some pictures, but if I pull them up, they'll look like this. But that was a tremendous effort. I thank God for people who have young people who have the vision to try to affect the community. Again, I think we have a similar kind of thought process of you know uh, affect families through the youth by giving them mentorships, programs, things to do. So it was great seeing the young boys and girls there interacting. I think that when the forum started again, it was fantastic, the turnout, the support that came not only from the students but from the community. Great job. Actually, I only saw two pastors that came that weren't on the panel. Would have liked to see more church support, considering we got some churches that like to call the governor's office without talking to anybody, but they don't actually come to events. That's a story for another day. But Pastor Robinson was there from the Second Baptist. Of course, Pastor McAfee was there. And we had Pastor Torres Montgomery from Harbor of Hope gave a very stirring keynote address. It just really went really well. The panel thought was terrific. And what I liked about the panel was it was a broad swath because you had Coach Mo Burton, former state trooper, myself, Judge Mayfield from the courts, Chief Judge, Mayor Ben Harbor, Mayor Muhammad, and then of course Pastor Montgomery was on there, and I love that because the kids were able to see people who look like them in successful positions. So I love that. I do think that Judge Mayfield kind of talked over her head technically a little bit more. I think she's used to talking technicalities in the court. I was able to follow her, but some of the kids weren't. But she did a terrific job. It was great seeing her. We had great discussion on panel. We had a great discussion after panel. And I thank God for somebody like Judge Mayfield, who I'm telling you that she comes in the community. You might not see many other ones, but she is definitely involved in the community. She comes. I love seeing her. She has her husband with her, and he's like a bodyguard / assistant. He's a wonderful gentleman. So just a great time, great panel, good discussion. I would like to see, hopefully, in the future, CC James, Sam's the third, working on maybe another one, kind of get more in depth, kind of hone down on some things. I know Pastor McAfee talked about wanting to do another similar type forum, so maybe we can connect and even make it more effective. Wonderful time. Again, I'm not even sure it got the, of course, it's Ben Harbor, got the media coverage it should have, because I'm telling you, that place was packed out. It was packed out, and kids were engaged. And one thing when I was there, I saw, which has been my theory, that we see these kids doing various things and we were kind of like writing them off. But if you talk to them the right way and talk to them where they can understand, I'm not gonna say on a level because I think that sounds like we're minimizing, but talk to them in a way they can understand, and they want to know. I mean, that forum, I was on a platform, and I hate this. It was an elevated platform. I hate being on those because it makes me feel like I don't know, but anyway, we're on a platform, and so I'm seeing the whole crowd of all these kids, all these teenagers, and they were engaged. They were all listening. Some were really, really, really tuned in. I think we got a little technical at times and started to lose some people, but they were really, really engaged. That tells me that young people, they want to hear a good message. They want to hear a good word. They want to hear from people that's like them, that has been where they have been or been where they are, and gives them some type of encouragement to move forward. So that was terrific. Again, I hope that we're able to do that again. I think it was a decent article in the paper on it. I'm not sure if it was on the news, but I think it should have got some more news coverage. Excuse me. So that is what I have so far. I don't have a whole lot. I might even entertain some questions. So, good morning, Ms. Harden and Ms. Marquez. Good morning. I actually am. I guess we'll have to work out. I try to get on when I have a guest. We try to get on about 8:45, 8:50 to iron out any type of technical difficulties. Which, if you're a watcher of the show, there's been many technical difficulties. I'm a street cop. I'm not a studio producer. So someday you won't see my background in my office. I'll have a green screen and whatnot. I do have some limits within the scope of this platform. I can't really put some text and overlays on the screen that I would like to do. But yeah, someday you won't see all the junk that's my office. But you can kind of chart the history of me being here if you look closely. So um, that's kind of really it. So I would open it up. I guess to any questions that people might have. Actually, let me get my ticker going. Um, and okay, hold on. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah. So again, I having a cold, a little bit congested. You probably can hear it in my voice. We had difficulties with my guest getting on, so get outside of that. I don't think I'm medicated up on cough medicine because I get a cold. I'll NyQuil it to death, but as you know, NyQuil sometimes has lasting effects. So uh, I'm just kind of taking it easy today. So if there's any questions that you might have for me, fire those in. Hey, Richard, good morning. Would like to know about efforts to stop the trash dumping in Benton Harbor. Good question. Rich Rabbers would like to know about efforts to stop trash dumping in Benton Harbor. So, for people in Benton Harbor, know that this is a huge problem, and really, I think Rich, let's look at it not so much really from merely an enforcement perspective. It's easy for us to try to find people and write tickets. Actually, it's not easy because these people dump like literally all over the city. It's not just one spot. They're dumping in alleys. We have Benton Harbor, if you're not familiar, has a very intricate uh, body of alleys between the streets. You have actually almost as many alleys as you have streets. So there's spots everywhere, and we've done many things. We've had cameras. We were very successful back in 18 when we had our warrant on illegal dumping that has not ended. Um, it's difficult because they move around. We had about 4 to 6 trail cams that we had posted around the city, and we're able to move those around, and those are pretty effective. We caught quite a few people. Then we had issues with uh, they started to break down. So, because one of the key things for us is that we have to really move those around. So I know there's been companies we talked to. We talked to several companies about cameras for dump sites, and they generally have those cameras that usually are fixed, like the ones that might be at a corner, or screwed to a building. Their portable cameras that they say that they have are cameras that are, you see those ones like you go to Myers or Walmart, that big old white kind of boxy trailer with the pole that extends up. Well, that for us, if you're trying to detect dumping, it's not feasible to roll a camera around that's the size of a small car, basically. So, we even had some challenges trying to get a camera solution that has strong cameras that have longevity, as well as being able to be moved around very quickly and deployed quickly. So that's that. So what I mean, and I apologize. Let me put my phone on Do Not Disturb. You should have been. Um, but overall, here's the thing, Rich, is yeah. So you're saying signage, no dumping. All right. So I'm about to get to that. So if signs mattered, we wouldn't have any dumping. Here's the thing: lot of times, like when we in 2018, we had that war on dumping. We had those. I think we had 30 some odd arrests just of people that we caught in the act of dumping. I was proud because I myself also I had I think I had about 3 or 4 arrests myself personally. Hey, but here's the issue: at least half the people that dump at Ben Harbor aren't from here. They are renters or people who own rental properties that come and dump. They'll change out a tenant, rip out the carpet, rip out the cabinets, redo it, drive Ben Harbor and dump it here. My point is this, and I've said this before in many shows, and I'll continue to say it: there is an absolute huge disrespect for Benton Harbor by the people outside of Benton Harbor. I'm going to say that again. People outside of Benton Harbor and Berrien County have a huge disrespect for Benton Harbor. So, again, Rich, I'm talking about the kind of bigger picture. If dumping would not be an issue if we didn't have kind of this respect. Now, I'm not saying it's a racial issue. You draw your own conclusions. But again, statistically, we've got as many people that came from who didn't live in Benton Harbor dumping in the city and then leaving. So that's a huge problem. So I think when I said there's a bigger macro issue is getting the city to the point where people respect the city. And it's not just dumping and dumping signs, Rich. When you see people driving through that you can tell they're not from here, again, draw your own inference. They're disrespecting our traffic signs. I'm literally, you see people driving through red lights around City Hall on Main Street. People think in Berrien County, when they drive into Benton Harbor, rules don't apply to them. They can do what they want, and they do it with impunity. So, as soon as I get full strength or get somebody that can hammer people on Main Street for doing that, I would love to. So, to your point, signs is not necessarily it. The issue is gaining the respect or people admitting that they don't respect the city, because you're not doing these things in Stevensville, Lincoln Township, St. Joe, but you got those people coming here dumping in Benton Harbor. So that is really the challenge. And, that's probably an issue and a discussion for another day. So I got some more coming in. Let me see here. This is KD DeBoss. Hey, KD DeBoss, Benton Harbor needs more, what do you say? Needs more activities for the young kids, teens to do. So, Katie Boss, and I'm hoping you're a real person, because there's one guy on here that makes fake names and starts talking crazy. I know who it is. So I don't want to call him out. So, here, KD DeBoss, again, great point. As you know, we don't have a recreation department, which we used to have years ago at the city. But I do know that the commission, especially, I would say Commissioner Adams, Commissioner Henry, are really pushing for bring recreation back, things for the kids to do. There's been discussion after discussion on trying to get the Armory back up and running. I think there's one thing is to get the money to actually fix the physical building. But then there has to be programs and things in there to sustain it. And that's kind of been where we are as far as the city goes with, the Army, for example, and then having programs. So I know the city has had some talks with some organizations to have some partnerships, some organizations that might have youth athletics, sports, or things of that nature. I'd also love to see when we get to the point of redoing the Armory, having a conversation with current stakeholders, i.e. Dylan Barnes of Jumpstart, i.e., Curtis McFall and Alloy Blackman of Boys and Girls Club. But the other people that have programs that need facilities, we at some point will be a facility that needs programs. So, and then we also need to KB the boss is do a better job of organizations that have things for kids now. And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Thank you for that comment. So I think we all agree, Ben Arbor's a basketball town. However, it's a boys' basketball town. There's very little, if nothing, for the girls. So that's why I know Dylan Barnes has been talking about introducing some girls' basketball training. I also now know that there's another brother, Carlton Brooks, and I'm forgetting the name of his organization, is talking about doing a girls' basketball program. Then you got the Boys and Girls Club, who had gotten one started. I'm not sure where it is, called Slay the Courts, that they're doing one. But it's like, just like in Ben Harbor and everything, they're in their own silos. So if we have like groups or organizations doing similar things, to communicate that, so one, the community and the people know, and then two, maybe they can come together and either A, at minimum, not clash with the population that they're serving, but B, more importantly, hopefully collaborate so we can get as many kids into these programs as possible and not fight as adults would tend to do, being territorial. So those are some things that so we got some things going from outside organizations for youth. Of course, somebody might say, well, what if your kid's not a sports person? That's another conversation, I guess. So there are some things that are outside from other organizations that hopefully will coordinate and people know what exactly that is. I hope there are some young girls out there interested in basketball, starting about third grade is what we need. And then the city ultimately, I think, is working hard to bring back Parks and Recreation Department. I, again, don't know where that process stands, but I do know that is in our plan as a city. So hope that helps, sir. KB the boss. I don't know why I'm tongue twisted with that today. Going down lane, looking to wise. Cameras there are tiny and only $35 a piece. This, I guess, was a comment on the discussion on cameras. Those are great cameras, and thanks, Donnie Lane. Those are great cameras, I think, for home. But one of the things that we found when we got the outdoor, made for outdoor pole cams, is that although they were made for outdoors, they weren't as durable as we would have hoped when we were moving around from location to location. And we were probably hitting about 30 locations, a summer. So wise may not necessarily be as durable as that. But I definitely love the suggestion. Here's Rich. Thanks for taking on the subject. We need to earn respect by taking care of ourselves. Rich, you had just basically summarized what I was saying. That's exactly it. We have to take care of our own city, demand a certain level of accountability, and then demand respect, bottom line. And that goes to one of my points earlier on when we started the show, of talking about social justice for Benton Harbor and the people of Benton Harbor. And people, you just cannot always assume social justice is something against police or something against courts. Social justice is a myriad of things. And what I'm saying social justice is, or one of the aspects that I'm talking about, is the disrespect that people outside of Benton Harbor have for Benton Harbor. I can give you example after example, but there's people that even call my assistant Alana, and there's such a spirit of arrogance and kind of they just really talk down on the phone, and it's crazy. Again, driving through our stop signs, not stopping, calling here, reading, employees of riot act on, you tell them no, again, stuff that they wouldn't do in St. Joe or Lincoln Township. We tell them no, and now they read us to riot act. It's disrespect everywhere. So to me, social justice is the people of Benton Harbor demanding respect from the other people of Berrien County. It's not just about courts, not just about police. It's about the whole county and how it views and sees and treats Benton Harbor. Again, that's a discussion, probably a series for another day. But yeah, that was Roberts. Let me see here. Who is this? This is, I'm not sure who this is, but it says, oh, well, here's my guest right here. St. Joe doesn't care about Benton Harbor at all. They ride around in the streets and dump trash. I would agree with that. So, brother Lamar, we got to connect. So let's do this. Let's establish this. We're clearly into the show. He's on the show. We're gonna next week come back around, make sure we can iron out whatever technical difficulties that he has. Come on here because I was really kind of excited to get him on here. That's why I didn't have a backup plan because I knew we was gonna have quite a discussion. So, excuse me. It's that. Okay, here we got here. This is so. This is. Let me read this. Benton Harbor Hood News. We need something besides Boys and Girls Club for the kids to do when the Boys and Girls Club is closed. We also need something for the adults to do when I get off work instead of hanging around in the streets and having police harass them for having fun in an open field yard, then get harassed by the police. So, and I thank you for that. And the reason why I'm laughing, I guess, is you got different views of opinion. So I totally agree. Yeah, there's got to be more for kids in the Boys and Girls Club because they do have hours of operation that are just theirs. But additionally, there are things for adults to do. I think that's a discussion for another day too. Again, I'd love to have that when I get him on the actual show. Yeah, I agree that there should be things for adults to do, but then I also think that there's certain young adults that should respect the rest of the community. And when they are, lining up in fields by the hundreds next to communities that have houses where people are trying to sleep at night at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, young adults should be at home at that time. That's when shootings happen. That's when these fights happen. So you say police are harassing them. What it is generally people are calling and saying, hey, they've got loud music and they've got the traffic blocked at Main Street or Main Street Market or at Sunday Spot. They're playing music. Could you come, police, and move them on? So it's not necessarily that we're riding around trying to harass people who are in fields. Think about what you said. People are parking in fields. There needs to be someplace for them to go. I totally agree. I just don't think that 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning is a viable argument for having something to do when other people in the community simply want to get rest in their homes. So, that's a discussion that I think is interesting. I don't think it needs to be contentious or disrespectful. I agree. Young people are full of energy. We got people that are like me. Honestly, I'm a night person. I'd rather be down in the day and up at night. I still have to make sure I try to get to bed before 3 a.m. So I get it. People are up late. So that is one. What else we got here? Here's Katie Boss. And I'm just clicking on these guys, so I'm not pre-screening them. When I was growing up there, we have had a game room, skating rink. We have more positive role models. You were absolutely correct. Well, the game room, that's gone. Skating rink, I think they still got the one in Stevensville, but our young folks even still skating. I know back in the day I used to go. I wasn't a great skater, but I would go. That was some of the things we had for us. Game room, I think that was probably before this. Now you got a game everywhere you go. So, how that's a different generation. Back then you had a game room like on Empire. That was a place to be. We also have places like, old school people like me. We talk about Snappy Snacks. Probably half of Benton Harbor, that's around my age, know exactly where and what Snappy Snacks was. We love the place. So, we don't have places like that anymore. We seem to have more liquor stores run by people that don't reflect the community population. I said that well. And we got more of them than we have of Benton Harbor people owning stores. I think let me see if I can think of one store owned by Benton Harbor resident. I think Napier's on Britain. I could be wrong, or maybe more, but again, that's another discussion for another time. Why is it that more people own stores, have ownership of stores and other businesses inside of Benton Harbor more than Benton Harbor residents? So, again, that's a topic for another day. We're really kind of gliding over many topics that would really be whole shows in themselves. So I thank you for that, KB the boss. What we got here? This is all right. So my guest today / next week guest, he probably is furiously typing. So I don't want you to burn yourself out because you will be on next week. Let's hear what he has to say here. He says we also have to have the respect if we're going to use our platform as news channel to record the news that's going on in the community. It's our job to make sure that the information that we put on platform is correct and does not harm the community but uplift the community. Benton Harbor, Michigan, Hood News 13. I totally agree with you. And I love that again, well spoken perspective. When you meet Mr. Blakemore, when you get him on here, he's highly intelligent, very animated. He's got one of those projecting voices, but it's people like him and this discussion here. When I brought chat with the chief back again, I try not to fill it with fluff and garbage and propaganda, but actually real discussions. And again, I got people on here who have had people on here who might not agree with the police or agree with me or don't like cops. Well, those are people I want to have on here. Again, it's not about trying to make us look good or try to sell you a propaganda machine like Herman Goebbels did in World War II. It's like having discussions. We talk about some things that just need to be said. So this is a great point. Again, next week, I'm anticipating that, and I'm going to tell you, we'll connect afterwards, Brother Lamar, so we can make sure that we don't have the same technical issue. Okay, so these are long ones coming in, so let me bear with me here. There's another one. Here is Miss Shannon Hart. Okay, thank you for your comment. Let me read it again. Excuse me. I'm not reading these and putting them on the screen. I'm putting them on the screen and reading them. Excuse me. I agree. We need something more for kids and teens, especially after hours of the Boys and Girls Club and youth groups. Excuse me. However, as far as the adults go, we are adults. We are held accountable for the way we act and our actions. Therefore, it's up to us to decide whether we want to be respectful humans or not. We need to take a responsibility and be proactive in what we are doing during those hours that can possibly be causing chaos or havoc for others around us. There's a time and place for everything. Miss Hart, if I could hug you right now, I would, because that was well said. I totally agree. And we're not saying, guys, that the young folk can't enjoy themselves, late at night. All we're saying is be respectful of the rest of the community. I mean, we got people in Benton Harbor who have been in their homes 30, 40, 60 years. 60 years. So, we're just saying, be mindful and be respectful. Sometimes they go out to Gene Clark Park. Well, there's also houses out there. So all we're saying is, young folks, we understand. We hear your concerns. We know, first of all, Benton Harbor is a 4 square mile community. There's not many places you can go where you're not going to rub up against somebody or some neighborhood where people live. So great point. I think we can. There's room for compromise. If we had a location the young folks can gather at, a big area where if they could conduct themselves accordingly with no violence, no guns, no shooting, no argument, we get it. People want to hang out, enjoy each other's company. There's nothing wrong with that. Just be mindful of other people. So that's all that we're saying. And these are great points. And I love that these are citizens saying this. So I love that. Here's another one. This is Mr. Fryback. That's a cool name. Need to teaching kids to invest properties as a group instead of everyone fighting each over drugs and drinking. I would agree. So I think what you're saying there is not only investing, but some life skills, and being able to, if somebody has a dream of a business, let's say, for example, so right now things are different. Things have changed. So you might can have a kid start his own business, because I have a nephew that's done this, so I know, who can live at home start a business, make about 100 grand a year by doing a cyber job. My nephew, yeah, he does video game system maintenance for the professional video game players. And yes, older folks, there are professional video game players. And they have some super high end machines, higher cost than even a server that you might get at IBM. These kids got some powerful machines, and he has a business that he's like a virtual kind of a best way to describe it from an analogy. He's like a virtual um, oil change garage or a garage where this is all virtual. He's got customers all around the world, literally all around the world, that can contract with him or contract with him. He gets access to their computer. He goes in there and he does routine maintenance on their system. And again, my cousin is about 20 years old, making $100,000, living at home with my crazy sister. So, and her husband, and my brother-in-law. So my point is this: yes, let's push them in a direction to get into maybe some entrepreneurship or some ownership. But us as older people have to also realize that there are professions now that weren't in existence when we grew up. I'll give you an example. I took my son on one of our recruiting trips down to Ball State, and there's a whole department. I can't remember what it's called exactly. A whole department of jobs, if you will, that I never even heard of because it's a different digital age. So those are some things that we already know have our children's interests. Can we push them in a direction to maybe take some of those interests, even if it is video games, maybe make that a career someday? So, Benny Bowers, good morning, Chief. Good morning, Benny. Praise the Lord. There's Rich again. Pitch night at Sacred Garden this Thursday evening. Locals promoting their small business efforts. I'd like to know more about that. Again, pitch night. I'm assuming like pitching an idea at Secret Garden, which is right over on Main Street across from the city center. Rich, if you got more information on that, I'd love to put that out and promote it. Okay. Trying to see, did I miss anyone? I thank you for the discussions and for the comments, because again, I'm kind of at a loss today. Rarely am I a loss for words. But again, this cold got me. I was at church yesterday. I had to stop and take my breath a couple of times. But I'm actually better today. So you probably still hear it in me, but I'm a little bit better today. Any other I guess I probably take it off the screen. Any other questions or comments? These have been great. I think these are great discussions. And I'd love to come back to really to all these, because these are probably separate shows in themselves. Especially, we're always talking about, when we talk about young people or youth, kind of like the teens down, elementary school. But even the young people in their early to mid or their 20s, those are the ones that were having an issue as far as the kind of like the going around parts of the city. But we cannot. My point is, we can't forget them either. So, especially if you become an old codger like me, 30, 20s are youth. So, excuse me. I think we just need to include them. And let me see. Here's one. Another one came in. Let me sure I get this one. Okay. All right. This is Shannon again. Ms. Howard. She says we need to create some kind of impact program. And that, pause real quick. That speaks to my point, because there are a bunch of programs out there, but not everyone knows about them because they're all in silos. And I got an issue with that. Why is kind of like the Boys and Girls Club and what they do kind of autonomous to themselves? Jumpstart's over here. You got maybe SMCAA has something over here. You have Connexus over here. It's like, okay, no one's working together. And I know there's programs, and the reason that jumps out at me, Ms. Hart, is that some of these programs are literally called impact programs, but apparently we don't know about them. So our communication is terrible. I mean, in the government sector, in the civilian sector, in the church sector, terrible. We just don't communicate very well. And with all the social media now and everything that's right now, Why are we having so much problems communicating with each other? I don't know. Other than I would say we don't want to, especially churches. They might say one thing, but you never see them until it's lights, camera, action. So, anyway, that was a quick aside. We need to create some kind of impact program for job shadowing with kids as young as 8 and 10 years old, up to where a business will allow a couple to a few kids, maybe even one, to come into their business and show them the ropes, show them what they're doing, give them something to dip their hands in. Is going to spark a goal or a dream inside them. You are absolutely on. We are a village and we need to come together as a village, a unity to stand together no matter what. There's always someone looking up to us or looking at us to decide to do you want to be a positive reinforcement or a negative to society. We all need somebody in together. We can change as a whole. One step in the right direction is one step closer to building a new foundation and a platform for everyone to stand on and become better humans in this world that is changing is from us, changing in front of us. Thank you much. That is a great, well packed comment. I appreciate this. And these are things, and this is why it's kind of heartbreaking. These things, I'm not sure how old you are, Shannon, but these things used to be in existence like before I was born and like in my time. And I've said, I'm not sure, some of the longtime listeners to Chat with the Chief have heard me say many times, there's that old saying, it's almost cliche. It takes a village to raise a child. I'm saying to you right now, because of the empathy that we've had in Benton Harbor or the 49022, because we've taken a hands-off approach, because we're back in the NIMBY, which means not in my backyard, which means it's a sociological term that means if it doesn't involve me directly, I'm not getting involved, I'm not helping, I'm not being worried about it. So right now, when we see the disconnection from the youth, we're seeing the upswing of violence in the community, and I'm saying that we are now seeing the results when the village does not raise a child. Let me say that again. We are seeing the results right now of what happens when the village takes a hands-off approach to its youth and doesn't raise a child. We get to this scope of lawlessness and kind of people doing what they're doing. But again, here's the thing, and I'll take this to my grave, guys. When you get these young people, yeah, they might have some fights. Yeah, they might be doing some things. Yeah, they might even be shooting. But I'm saying when adults talk, young people listen. The key is, are you gaining their respect to maintain their attention? Let me say that again. Are we saying the right things to maintain their attention? Because I firmly believe, and this is just my observations, that a lot of these youth out there, again, the forum last week was a perfect example because all those kids were like this, paying attention. But, again, we lost some. We have to make sure that we have the right engaging message and the right engaging, persona. I think somebody said earlier, it might have been Shannon, that we need to project ourselves and reinforce ourselves as role models, that they emulate. Children learn, they pick up things that they learn. Some behaviors that we have don't necessarily turn into great habits, but we need to do those things. So back in the day, they had things where kids could come in and do hands-on things, learn about businesses. I remember when I was in school, we used to travel around to different like farms. I wouldn't be in a farm, but we went to farms. We went to like a candle making company and did things like that. So again, we need to reinvest. We need to get away from hands off and more hands on. And I remember back in the day, these days people probably have a fit, especially in this town. But back in my day, I was raised in the 70s. Back in my day, if you had acted up and got caught by your neighbor, your neighbor grab you, wear you out, walk you down to your mama, give her to you. She say, "What happened here, Queenie? Dan did X, Y, and Z. He was with John. I already took care of John. He at home. Punishment." That's my best friend in Grand Rapids. Here you go. Of course, mom might tag you up a little bit too. In your room you go. These days, you can't necessarily do that for fear of being cussed out, being attacked by a carload of people driving up, What'd you say to my kid? Well, your kid broke my window. Well, so what? Your window shouldn't have been there. We do all that type of crazy stuff. We got to stop that foolishness and actually project the leadership and the influence that we want to have our children when they grow up and they have children of their own. So, this has been good, guys, because I really was struggling on how the heck I was going to get through a show. My guests, we're having difficulties. Tough to breathe because I've got this cold, not COVID. This is just a good old fashioned cold. Okay. This right here is we need also somebody to teach gun safety, gun laws. That keeps coming up. Interestingly, because I've had this discussion and I see on TV and like the politicians, the ones who do stuff for politics. So gun safety and gun laws, that's great. Here's the I guess the question I have. Someone say it's a problem, but the issue with the elevated gun violence in the country, it's not just Benton Harbor, is not the law-abiding citizens that would observe gun safety and gun laws. So I think that we're putting our eggs in the wrong basket. Here's what the problem is, and I think this is a discussion that needs to be had with our senators and congressmen, our lawmakers, is that the guns that we're having problem with, these ghost guns, and what those ghost guns are guns you can order piece from here, piece from there, and take them and put them together. And you put them together and you build a gun from scratch at home. And they're not regulated. They're not regulated whatsoever. So you can get a guy order 10 ghost or the parts to 10 ghost guns, put them together, maybe pay $200-$300 for them individually, some on the streets for $500, $600, $700, and you have a fully functioning extended magazine, untraceable weapon. Those are the guns we've been predominantly confiscating, those ghost guns. So I agree. Yeah, there could be some things with gun laws and teaching gun safety, but those are for the people like you, Blake, who would ask that question. You're a lawful, probably owner. So yeah, I get it, but I think sometimes when things happen, they unnecessarily strap restrictions on the law-abiding people, and they kind of get the brunt of it, and they don't address. So what needs to be addressed are these companies that are manufacturing these guns that don't even have serial numbers on them. They are totally untraceable. I mean, you can find out where they were made, but as far as the purchases, who bought them, totally not like a regular gun. So that's something to think about. So Rich was giving us some information. This is Emerge Innovation Hub Pitch Night, 6:30 at the Secret Garden, which again is right across. Very nice place. Right next to is that the place that where they got the food court, or is that the one down? Pitch Streams 5K seed money. So I would love actually. When is going to be on here, Rich? I would love to hear about this. Maybe you can talk about this. When is this going to be again? Oh shoot! This little video. Let me get up here. Let me say, Brother Browse has some. Here is another comment. I'm trying to get them all I can. I actually almost skipped over this when I went back and looked. This from Benny Bowers. I would like to offer that it breaks my heart to know that our youth cannot benefit from the personal growth and development that exists in unprecedented history of Benton Harbor. The Young Leadership Academy produced real success stories. Let's revisit that training. Are you referring to the Youth Academy that was started here, that was adopted by Lansing? The kids from across the state go to. I would agree if that's what you're talking about, or something similar to that. But here's the problem I see with that. Who in Benton Harbor is pushing that? Every once in a while I see that a youth academy is going, but it might be from an email or from a newsletter from like another community that's sending kids to that academy, but not here. So I would love to learn how I can help push that or be involved from a Benton Harbor standpoint. Considering, again, I'm assuming we're talking about the same academy, that this was started in Benton Harbor. So again, Benton Harbor being the first of many in all across for for years, being the first to do some things that get taken and adopted other places, i.e., this the Youth Academy started by Benny Bowers. Of course, now we are revolutionizing fire training in the state of Michigan, which is still kind of crazy to me that I would be sitting here wearing this uniform talking about we are trendsetters in the fire service. But anyway, things change. Things change. Thank you for that. But I would love to know more, Benny, if that's what you're referring to, and how can we get Benton Harbor to do better job at recruiting kids to go to this academy? Because I worked at one of those one summer, and it was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And I'd even love to hear stories of kids afterwards that went through the program where they are now. I'm sure there's some tracking here. Kind of, we're flipping back to that Emerge Innovation Hub. Here is the website for those interested. Again, looks like it's it's a meeting to hear pitch meetings for the possibility of $5,000 in seed money. So emergeinnovationhub.org. So, and Rich, if you can email me some stuff, I definitely would put this on the Benton Harbor Department of Public Safety website to get that out there. And if we got some Benton Harborans that got some ideas of pitch that have actually done the work, not just talk about it, but have started the organization, US. Email address. All right, we're coming close. 5 minutes to pitch your dream. And when is that? Is that this week, or is that, what's the date of that pitch meeting, Rich? Morning, brother Shaquille. How are you doing? Let me see that. Make sure I don't miss anything. KB the boss. The community of Benton Harbor doesn't respect their community. That's why others don't respect your community. Well said. Well said, KB the boss. I'm liking you a lot. Again, here we some things just need to be said. Until we start, and this is a topic, maybe call it a can of worms, call it whatever, but it is what it is. Until we decide to demand to respect each other and demand respect, this is what we get. So KB the boss, you have right on. You've been right on your comments. I thank you for them. This. All right, so that is this is it Wednesday for the innovation pitch? Yeah, 6:30, but which day is it? Hey, that is on Thursday. That is on Thursday. Hopefully you guys got this out on the radio and in the media. Again, I'd love to push this. So this Thursday, 6:30 at the Secret Garden is the innovations pitch meeting. Which reminds me, I watch pitch meetings on YouTube. That guy's hilarious. If you ever never seen him, go on YouTube and just search pitch meeting. Hilarious. So, well, Benton Harbor, actually, we did make it an hour. I appreciate it. Again, we had some difficulties with our link for our guest. So I see he's definitely chomping at the bit to get on next week. Let's connect. I'd like to get him on next week, have the discussion we're going to have. Again, he made some great comments, great tools for discussion. Actually, in here is my email address. If you got any other questions outside of when the show ends, or got any questions or suggestions for the city or the public safety department, or comments, concerns, you can email me. We're definitely open to some constructive criticism. I thank people that's on here. I thank KB the boss, Rich Rabbers, Benny Bowers, Shannon. Where's her last name? Hart, Fantastic comments. So I thank you all. And until next week, it's going to be same time, same channel. You've been listening to Chat with the Chief here on Benton Harbor Department of Public Safety's Facebook site. We're also on the City of Benton Harbor's YouTube site. We're here every Monday at 9 a.m. You guys have a blessed week. Be safe, be productive, enjoy your families, live life, love God. Till next week, we'll talk to you later.